Welcome back to the House with No Name. This week we're taking a break from the outdoor work, mostly because of the weather. We're building a pantry, so we can have all of our food stored conveniently on shelves in one place. And as usual, we're building it all from scratch using raw timber to create the rustic style that we're looking for.
Next job for today, we're going to paint the pantry. I'm very excited about the colour of the pantry, so I'm going to show it to you. So you may be wondering if we've absolutely lost the plot, and it's entirely possible, yes. But we thought that it might look quite cool against the green when you open the door to then have this big bright pop of colour, and it just looked quite cool. Also, this is the colour of my business branding, so I think I just gravitate toward it now. So yeah, it makes sense that a nutrition company would have the same colour in the place they store their food. So there's some vague method in the madness on this one, but yeah, mostly it's just a nice, bright, vibrant colour. So the pantry painting is done. The tiny little pot of paint we had, I've got about this much left, so I imagine when I see the little dimply bits that are still white, I can just go in and touch them up a little bit. It took a little bit longer than I mentally anticipated it would, just with doing it by hand, but I think we would have had to do multiple coats and then potentially needed more paint if we'd done it with the roller, just because the walls have loads of tiny little grooves that it needs to go into, so it might just be a bit patchy. So at least this way it's all covered. So the idea in here is that there will be some wide shelves on this side and there'll be some shelves on this side, so there'll be a kind of L-shaped unit in here. We are doing a little bit of reconfiguring just now that we've got the fire, or will have it, to not make the fridge have to overwork. So we're just deciding whether the fridge goes in here and then we still have the big shelf here, or the fridge goes in here and then we'll have the shelf in on this side. So a little bit of moving things around and working it out, and then at a later date when we knock the wall down and have the big kitchen, this will be a full L shape.
The gap between the shelf and the fridge. It goes here. Shelf comes out at 400, so it comes out to here worth of shelf. There. Might have been mine. Okay, down. One. Yeah, down. Alright.
As you'll now have seen, we've moved the fridge around all over the shop to work out the best place to put it. So we're going to build the shelves, so they're going to have the thin little guys on the ends and the back, and then the shelf will just sit on top of them.
That's the plan, hopefully.
Hoping it's stable enough.
Should be.
Yeah. So we're just going to cut down these to be able to into the wall, and then whack a shelf on.
Clip them in.
We had to move the fridge into here, which means our design changes. So it now means we're going shelves up this back wall only, which there are 6 shelves and they're pretty decent size and they're going to be pretty deep as well. It should still hold pretty much all of our food, but it's just slightly different from what we had actually planned. Got our cutting list ready to go, and now the chief is going to start with cutting these battens down. Everything as usual is getting stained. This stuff is actually pre-planed, so we don't have to do any sanding for this, so we can just stain it straight away. So you're going to get all these cut down first. We're going to get all these cut down first. We'll stain them, and then we'll get on with the actual shelf sections.
Into the wall.
You don't like cutting, do you?
Are we 30?
Yeah. So those battens are all chopped to size. Now they need staining. Also got to do a bit of hand sawing. It's the first time we've done any hand sawing for a while, boss. Give the edges a quick tidy up, just a quick go over with sandpaper because the edges are a bit rough, and then stain them.
So in case you were wondering why we're doing everything under here today and not staining stuff on the terrace like we usually do where it dries really quickly,
It's disgusting.
this is why.
So as much as we seemingly don't get a lot of rain, when it does rain, it rains a lot and very quickly, but then it does dry out pretty quickly because often it does stop raining pretty abruptly as well. But it's been pretty much like this on and off for the past 3 days.
Yeah.
So it's made kind of a bit of a mad rush at the end of last week to get stuff done outside so that we could then do inside projects whilst it was raining, because doing stuff outside in this in the garden's not that much fun.
Especially when our garden's mostly a hill. Which
Yeah.
just not really safe.
Makes it pretty slippery. So yeah, that's why we're kind of working in this space under here today. We're not working in the workshop because there's not loads of light in there. We need to put electricity in there. Next job is to start doing the shelves.
So the staining on the battens is taking a little bit longer to dry than it usually does, so it means kind of whilst we're waiting for that side to dry, we're going to cut the shelves. Thanks.
That could be why we got 8.5 before.
Yeah.
This one.
Okay. Where said it was supposed to be done today?
It said 50% chance for most of the day.
So got all the wood chopped down, all cut to length. Some minor changes as we went.
Because everything's obviously on an angle.
So the boards that are going closest to the back wall, a little bit narrower than the ones that are going to sit towards the front, because both walls are angled.
Obviously.
So we'll figure out kind of how they all fit together once we get there. But now we're going to sand all of them down. Then we're going to come back and we'll stain the other half of the battens and stain these boards. So that whilst some battens are drying, we're not going to spray sawdust all over the place, all over them. So
Sounds like a good idea though.
sounds like a good idea.
Max efficiency.
Right, start sanding. So we're splitting the sanding a little bit. Amy's using the little mouse sander that we've got that's done all of it so far. It seems to be working quite well. We've got nice smooth boards there. We're using 80 grit on the mouse sander. I'm sanding by hand with 40. 40 is a little bit easier to get some of the kind of real roughness off. And then depending on how they turn out, we might give them a quick go over with the 80 on the mouse sander, just a couple of goes. But we found that doing 80 actually does leave stuff pretty smooth. Some of them are quite rough, like the mill marks on them are pretty aggressive, so like a 180 does actually help it a little bit more. To be fair, with the 80, it's actually pretty good. There's a little break in the weather, so we've now got some more favourable sunshine. We've had pretty much exclusively grey and rain for the past 3 days. So we've got the second half of the batten stained, and they are now drying in the sun. Whilst those are drying, we're going to get onto the actual boards and start staining those. Then in the meantime, whilst those are drying, and whilst we're done doing those, the battens should be dry and we should be able to start getting them into the wall.
Sounds like a plan.
Brush the side.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you did one. Sounds interesting, but
Was rent
yeah.
from the property.
Oh my god.
Look at the freaking cutter!
I know, it's piercing out from there. Yeah.
We've got a swimming pool now.
This did fill up quite quickly.
That was 3 minutes.
Of the heaviest rain.
Maybe not even 3 minutes.
It was less than that, it was about,
A
literally
minute.
about a minute.
And
it just-
woof. I never used to understand watching Portuguese renovation channels when they commented so much on whether it was going to rain or not.
Yeah.
Like we were almost going to turn it into a drinking game at one point. And now I understand. I was just sat, chilling on the floor, sanding some shelves that I was bored for 3 seconds of letting stuff dry, so I thought I'd start a new project. And then, oh!
Right, so our battens are ready, the long ones are ready anyway. So we're going to pre-drill holes directly through, and then these will have screws that go through these and directly into the wall. But we're going to pre-drill all the holes on these first, then mark up on the wall where they're going to go. We've already got marked out the heights that they're going at, we just need to put them in and drill the holes through the walls. We're using 3.5 mil, 40 mil long screws with wall plugs to go in the wall. Exactly.
So I've drilled the holes through the battens and given them a countersink so that the screws, when the screws go in, the screws don't need to screw through into the battens, they just need to hold them into the wall. And if we screw them in without the kind of little bit of countersink, is a good chance we might just split the wood out. So that countersink will allow the screw head to just drip in below the surface and just sit in a little bit better without splitting the wood. So I think what we're going to do now is mark up the walls and then line up the holes to drill the wall. We'll get all the wall plugs in and then we'll be able to screw them in.
Okay.
Have you got the pencil or have I got the pencil?
It's in my pocket.
Tape as well? No, tape, yeah. So we've got all our heights for our shelves. We've measured these out previously to work out where we want them. And what we're going to do is basically just mark off each one, and then we'll come in, hold these up and drill a little hole so we've got our marks. So we've got
Turn. 5.
how's he bubbling? Perfect.
Very good. 25 years later.
Give me a chance. Hold your horse. Talked about this being quite an evolving project as we were doing it.
I just evolved it further.
Another slight adjustment. We're adjusting the height of the top shelf. So we did measure all these based on jars that we have, but also jars that we could get in shops that are local, like local ones. So we want to basically have all our stuff in glass rather than it being plastic or being whatever. We can put it in glass, and it means we can then decant stuff, buy stuff in bigger quantities or grow stuff in bigger quantities and then store it.
Yeah.
And so what we've done is basically we're going to take out, you can't really see this, it's kind of difficult to see, but we are taking out this one, moving the shelf higher up. So we've got a shelf for bigger glass jars like the ones we've got for rice and pasta, higher up, as well as space lower down.
Because we got some last week that are a bit taller than the ones that we already had. So this one is based on the one that we already had.
Yeah.
With like a little bit of space.
Yeah.
But that one, the ones we bought last week, basically the wiggle room that we left
Isn't quite
for the
enough.
ones we already had is not quite right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll paint that.
No, I just planned here for ages.
Just hold him for a bit. Boss, we've got some battens.
We have.
Good job.
Woohoo!
I can't see properly, hang on, again. Yeah. Yeah, we're done for this evening. We've got all the battens screwed in. The shelves, only 3 of them are kind of fully stained. They're still a little bit sticky. They're not quite fully dry.
3 of them still have the other side.
3 of the deeper ones still need the other side, and then the other 6 of the top 3 shelves need fully staining. So that'll all get done tomorrow, and then we'll finish up the pantry project.
Yeah. Hopefully nothing else needs changed in the design.
Hopefully. So we're a few days later now on the pantry project, and Managed to get half of the shelves in with some persuasion. The other half did not fit, they're too long. So the walls are not square, and like the same shelf will fit in one section, just not fit at all in a different section, and then be too short in another section. So we're gonna have to do each one individually to make them fit. They're all too long.
Better than being too short.
Much better than being too short. So we're just trimming down now. So these two are for one shelf. We've then got some of the wider ones for the outside. They're a little bit too long. So we're just going to cut them and then fit them in. So these shelves are now dry. Hopefully, should be able to just slide them in. Touched up the ends with a little bit of stain, and they're ready to go. There we go. They're all in. So some people notice that that top shelf has only got one in, not two. The front one for that is still dry and the wood's a little bit damp. Just it's soaked up a little bit of moisture. So we're leaving that one dry before we stain it and put it in. That'll be another time. For now, you'll have to imagine what it would look like with loads of jars on it. As we were talking through, as we were building it and adjusting the design as we went, this is a big gap. That's because it's going to have taller jars in it. Just because these ones are going to have smaller, these ones are going to have smaller, these are slightly larger, this is for the biggest gap. So this one allows us to get stuff that's kind of taller jars to fit in here that we don't have to reach down. There's also probably going to be some small appliances in here, maybe some pots and pans. That's the plan. For now, you'll have to imagine what that looks like.
Thanks so much for watching The House with No Name. Our pantry is now ready to house all of our glass jars once we start actually growing our own fruit and veg. Next time, we need to secure our workshop. We cut up some pallets, drill some holes, and hang a door that we made from scratch. See you then.